CNJ's Epic Quest. CNJ's Epic Quest. CNJ's Epic Quest. CNJ's Epic Quest. CNJ's Epic Quest.
Hey everybody, welcome back to D&J's Epic Quest. It's been a minute since I've been able to say I'm here not just by myself today, but it is Derek, and alongside me I've got my buddy
Justin.
You sound like you were hesitant or didn't remember your name or something.
No, I just I'm so used to saying Arza Orlong,
Got you.
But being that I don't have a name yet.
Yeah, we'll get there. I'm sure we'll get there. But yeah, man, how's it going? What you been up to?
It's just been really busy. Just busy. Sports and school and work and conferences and travel outside of the state. What about you, dude?
Yeah, busy. I've got second interview Thursday for my boss's job. I feel pretty good. Feel pretty good about it. Today kind of felt like a trial run just because we had some contractors on site that were like, we've got a silo that we put our product in and then we load out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to get it empty. Well, I mean, if it's full, it holds like 3,000 tons or something. A shitload. It holds a shitload of product. So it takes some time to get that thing emptied. But the plant doesn't stop running because they're not putting product in the silos. They're just on the floor, basically, inside.
Okay.
But so we got it empty, and then there's it's like a big freaking auger, like a snowblower blade, basically, and it's just on an arm and, moves slowly around. So yeah, I had to deal with that, getting those guys in there and that type of stuff, which was something that if my boss was still there, like he probably could have passed off to me and I would have been fine doing, but he wasn't there, so I just had to do it. And then stupid truck driver screws things up. That was frustrating. So it was a lot today. It was a pretty busy day. But yeah, I think I've got a good shot for the job. And aside from that, just been kind of slowly chipping away at the basement. We're at the sanding phase now.
So they'll drywall's up and now you're just sanding it?
Yeah, which sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly's done some sanding. I haven't. I did the mudding, which was not fun either. And then hockey, and I don't know. It's just been a lot of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. To our viewers, though, episode a week, so that's all that matters.
Yeah. I know you've been busy, but you've still been keeping up on that. So
yeah, I just half hour, 45 minutes of editing for the next 3 days. Sweet.
Nice.
Well, what do you say? Should we start chapter 1 of Midnight Tides?
Yeah, we should. I kind of skimmed through the chapter before we started here today, and I was like, this is only chapter 1.
Oh, you looking at all my comments?
No. I was reading through the chapter in the book, and I was just like, it feels like we're further along, but we're not.
Nope. Just on chapter 1.
Yep.
All right. Well, on to our lovely patrons. We've got Jan the Picker, Luciana Trigan, Brian the Topological, Damien Face in the Rock, Nate Fiddle Me This, Shield Anvil Dylan, Calvin He Who Witnessed, Livia the Malazan Potato, Aaron Mott Irregular, Scott the Only, Graceless Passion, Dead Smell, Gestriant, My Own Genesis, Alex the High Mage, Tyler the Great Raven, The Joyful Union, Tony the Watch, Steve Bottle Kegs, The Mortal Sam, and John, I'd Kill the Mule.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. And I don't know how you feel. Sometimes it feels like there's maybe a little bit of pressure there to try to keep going, even though it's kind of seamless on the other end of things, like I think it's fair to say you and I both get anxious to record again. And it's,
yeah.
we were talking, it's been almost 3 weeks since we recorded the prologue, but it's just, like you said, you were out of state and just things have been busy. So it is what it is. But here we are.
I feel like this is something that happens every time this year. It's just things get busy, and then after the holidays, it like slows down, and we can consistently do this. So
a little bit, yeah. But we're just going forward here. That's all that matters.
Right.
All right. So what we got? We got an epigraph for the book and then the chapter, right?
Yeah. So I'll read the second one.
Okay. All right. First epigraph here. There is a spear of ice newly thrust into the heart of the land. The soul within yearns to kill. He who grasps that spear shall know death. Again and again ye shall know death. Hanan Mosag's vision.
So, do you think that Hanan Mosag is the bringer of midnight tides?
I don't know. I guess interesting. I don't know. Haven't thought about that at all, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I've been curious, but I hadn't like drawn a comparison to that. Oh, it might be him.
Epigraph for chapter 1 here. Listen, the seas whisper and dream of breaking truths. In the crumbling of stone, Hantalit of minor sluice, year of the late frost. Oh, whoops.
You're good, man. I was just trying to think, what the hell is this first book called in this? What was the first sub-book called? I don't even remember.
I don't know where my book is.
I'm trying to page through it quick. You don't have your book on you when we record?
It's upstairs. I was reading. I was rereading the chapter.
Frozen Blood.
Okay. I'm going to go with that as something to do with the prologue.
Okay, I'm trying to remember the prologue now.
Gothos and Mael. Mael wants Gothos to like freeze over.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah. Section 1 here. Year of the late frost, 1 year before the Letheri 7th closure. The ascension of the empty hold. Here, then, is the tale between the swish of the tides, when giants knelt down and became mountains, when they fell scattered on the land like the ballast of stones of the sky, yet could not hold fast against the rising dawn. Between the swish of the tides, we will speak of one such giant, because the tale hides with his own, and because it amuses. Thus, in the darkness he closed his eyes. Only during the day did he open them. He figured, in the dark there is little to be seen, so why strain his eyes? What value was there in the gloom? He came to the edge of the land and found the sea and was fascinated by the liquid. It became his obsession throughout the course of that day. He watched the waves threaten to overtake the land, but they never did. It always retreated. When night came, he closed his eyes to sleep and decided tomorrow he would look upon the sea again. In the dark, he closed his eyes. The tide came with the night, swirling around the giant, and drowned him as he slept, seeping minerals into his skin until he became a rock. Then, each night for thousands of years, the tides came and wore him down, stealing his shape, but not completely. He could be seen to this day, but you must look in the darkness or nearly close your eyes in the daylight, a sideways glance, or focus on everything but the stone itself. Of all the gifts Father Shadow had given his children, this one talent stands tallest. Look away to see. Trust in it, and you will be led to Shadow, where all truth hides. Look away to see. Kind of an interesting opening there, huh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Totally caught me off guard.
Caught you off guard, really? Tell me more.
I just wasn't expecting this voice.
Okay. Just, like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just didn't. I don't know. I don't know if I really have thoughts to elaborate.
Okay.
I just wasn't
It's just
expecting
different than what you were expecting.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't really have any thoughts either. I guess I had what, I have 1 or 2 here maybe. I'm trying to scroll back up. I hate this computer.
Do you want me to go first since mine are near the top?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. I don't know what the deal is.
The very beginning of the line here then is the tale between the swish of the tides when giants knelt down and became mountains. I almost kind of get the sense that this is Troll's voice waiting at the first throne. So like, he's starting his tale, right?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
There's this part where they talk about the giant and the tail hides within his own tail. And then it's like, and because it amuses. You remember when Jan and Tony said that this book was hilarious? It kind of seems like that was Erickson's intent.
Things to keep in mind for sure.
Yeah. And, everybody will hear that episode because it comes before this one. So it'll make sense.
Unless they just skip that episode altogether for whatever reason, but don't do that. Go
like those weirdos who skip the prologues in books, and I'm like, why are you doing that?
I don't get it either. My first thought here, we get this character that is fascinated by the sea, fascinated by the liquid, right? I kind of get the feeling that maybe this is Mael we're seeing just in his forming, I suppose.
Because I imagine that this is a giant of some kind. I don't think Mael existed at this point.
Why couldn't he?
Because I get the sense that this is more or less how the land takes shape. I feel like Mael is a newer god. Or is he? He's an elder god, right? Mael is elder. I don't know. Maybe. I guess you could be right. I don't know.
But it just feels like, to me, like the fascination, maybe this is how he came to be or something. That's my only thought. Maybe it's not right. Could be like you said. Could be something else. But when I read it, that's just where my mind went.
Oh, no, fair. 100% fair.
And then, this last line, where all truth hides, look away to see. I kind of feel like we're getting a story within the story here, and I don't really know what it's trying to say, but it is an interesting opening for sure.
Oh, yeah. Probably my favorite so far.
Really?
Yeah. Because I feel like it's kind of like a miniature prologue in a sense.
Yeah, I can see that. I would agree. It is probably the most striking. I mean, if we're just looking at the chapters after the, chapter ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess last book you had Karsa. We're kind of, we see Karsa and his homeland.
The first section, though, was the dog, the rabid dog, the bad dog, being chased in a kiln.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
I don't remember Memories of Ice, and I don't remember Dead House Gates.
Memories of Ice was they're sitting at the bridge, or the where the bridge got broken, washed away, whatever.
Yeah, that's right. That's when we meet Boschley and Gruntle and all those guys.
And Dead House, I remember the prologue, but I don't really remember chapter 1.
Yeah, I don't remember that one either. Yeah, chapter 1 of Gardens of the Moon is Pale. We see Hairlock and he dies. And
well, pretty short section here to start off. I almost feel a little awkward because it's been 3 weeks since we've done this, but we'll get back in the groove here. Yeah,
we will. And now here comes a long one. So my first section, y'all, it's popcorn time.
It was a big one. That's what she said.
Or that's not what she said.
I mean, I don't know about your personal life, so
why is this is not about me?
It's not about me.
All right. As dusk approached, mice scattered in a wild panic in the snow. For one of them, though, its fate was already sealed, for an owl dropped down from its branch and scooped up the scrambling mouse. It landed in a tree and began to feed. The figure that jogged across the glade a moment later saw nothing out of the ordinary, as far as the mouse that was just snatched up. Dusk belonged to the hunters, and the raptor was not yet done this night. As Troll made his way along the trail, his thoughts were distant, making him unaware of the forest around him, distracted from all the signs and details that surrounded him. He had not even stopped to appease Sheltatha Lore or Daughter Dusk, the most cherished daughters of Father Shadow's 3 daughters. He would make up for that at the next sunset, but earlier he had moved through the trail and patches of light, risking the attention of Sakul Ankakadu, the daughter of Deceit, also known as Dapple. The Kalak breeding bed swarmed with seals. They had come early as Troll was collecting raw jade on the shoreline. The seals were not alone, as the Lethari, the white-skinned people from the south, and their ships ringing the bay. The harvest was well underway. He could imagine the anger of the people of the village he approached. Once he delivered the news of what the Lethari were doing, their trespassing on Edur territories was bold, and the stealing of seals that belonged to the Edur was a defiance to the old agreements. There were fools on both sides, but Troll could not imagine that what the Lethari were doing was welcomed. The great meeting was 2 moon cycles away and served neither side to spill blood, even though the Edur had all the rights to defend their space and protect the seals. The Lethari, on the other hand, would be outraged at the killing of its people, even those that were breaking agreements. The chances of reaching a new agreement were getting smaller and smaller, and this troubled Troll. One long war had just ended for the Edur, and starting a new one was hard to bear. He had not embarrassed his brothers during the wars of domain and control. On his belt, he had trophies, 21 red-stained rivets, 1 to show each coup, and 7 circled in white to indicate kills. His brother Fear sported even more trophies than him, and that was proper, given Fear's fame amongst the Harath tribe. The battles between the 5 other tribes were bound to rules, and even long battles had led to a handful of deaths. The conquest had been exhausting. Against the Lethari, though, there were no rules, just endless and mindless killing. Such slaughter stained warriors and victims alike. Troll knew the difference and chose only to hesitate within himself. He would still join his brothers and enact the Edur judgment on the trespassers. There was no choice. Turn away from this crime, and more would follow. His jog brought him past tanneries. A few Lethari slaves glanced his way, bowing until he was past. The cedar logs of the village rose from a clearing ahead. Winter had only begun to fade, and the first planting was weeks away. The tribe's women would oversee the slaves and the harvesting of those plants, providing plenty of sustenance to livestock and Edur alike. The men would go out into the forest and collect resources, whilst others would set out in Canary ships to fish the harbor. This is how it should be, when peace ruled the tribes. The past dozen years had seen more war parties and setting out than ever before, and on occasion people would suffer. Until the war, the Edur never feared going hungry. Troll wanted to end such attacks. Hanan Masag, warlock king of Heroth, was now overlord to the Edur tribes. From several warring peoples, a confederacy had been made, although Troll knew it was a confederacy only by name. Hanan Mosag held hostage the firstborn sons of the subjugated chiefs, his Krisan, and ruled as director. It wasn't dictator, and ruled as dictator. It wasn't peace, but peace by the sword. He recognized his young brother Benatus striding from the gate. Of Troll's 3 brothers, Benatus was a head shorter, but the most remote and difficult to predict. He resided in the village seldom and preferred the call of the wild. He rarely joined the others in raids, but often came back with trophies, so no one doubted his bravery. Benatus observed that Troll was winded and looked distressed. Troll explained that there were Lethari ringed around Kalak beds. Benatus said that he shall not delay his brother then. Troll asked if Benatus would be gone long, to which his brother shrugged and headed off down the other fork in the trail. Troll moved on and into the village. He passed smithies that during the war were heavily used. Now only 2 were occupied, and the Lethari slaves there worked slowly. Beyond the forges were storage chambers, now empty due to the war. As he passed the storage containers, a variety of citizens called out greetings as Troll passed. Troll now hurried through the residential streets. Shrines to the father and his favored daughter dominated this residential area. Raised platforms ringed by living trees of the sacred blackwood. The surface of stone discs inscribed with images and glyphs. Gerald Emerlon played within the 3-ringed circle, half-shapes dancing along the pictographs. The sorcerer's emanations awakened by the shrines that had accompanied the dusk. Sengar emerged onto the avenue of the warlock, the sacred approach to the citadel that was both temple and a palace. the seat of Hanan Mosag, the warlock king. Black cedars and 1,000 years old lined the approach. They had been invested in sorcery to bleed out a shroud of gloom that would fill the entire village. At the far end was a lesser palisade that enclosed the grounds and the citadel. Constructed from the same black wood, those bowls carved with wards. The main gate was a tunnel of living trees, a passage of shadow that led to a footbridge that spanned a canal in which sat a dozen Karathan raider boats. After the footbridge, the ground opened out onto a flagstone compound flanked by timber longhouses of the noble families directly tied to Mosag. There was another footbridge to cross after that until he reached the citadel proper. There were warriors training in the compound, and Troll saw his older brother Fear standing with a half-dozen assistants, watching the warriors train. Troll felt a pang of sympathy for those warriors. He remembered what it was like to be under the unrelenting eye of his brother during his years of training. A voice hailed him, and he turned to glance at his youngest brother, Rulad, and Midik Boon. It appeared that they had been sparring with each other. A moment later, Troll saw the source of their uncharacteristic sparring. Mayan, Fear's fiancé, had appeared with 4 other women. Even though there was nothing wrong with the scene, he felt a surge of unease. Rulad's eagerness to strut before Fear's betrothed had crept to the edge of proper conduct. In Troll's opinion, Fear was indulging too much in Rulad. Troll thought to himself that they all were, but there were reasons for that. Rulad had clearly bested his best friend and now challenged Troll to a sword contest. Troll told his younger brother some other time, as he must speak with father without delay. Rulad turned back to face the women, but Mayan and the party was moving away. Rulad looked to say something, but Troll spoke first, asking his brother to join him, as the news he is to impart on their father is of grave importance. Troll saw his brother's eyes light up and said that he would be delighted to join. Leaving Midik, Rulad joined Troll as they walked to the family longhouse. Trophies cluttered the outside walls, and whalebones clung to the underside of the roof's overhang. Totems from rival tribes formed an arch over the doorway. They passed within. Hung from hooks on crossbeams were scores of weapons, some from the earliest days when the art of forging iron had been lost, following the disappearance of Father Shadow. Just beyond the hearthstone was a bowl of living blackwood. At head height, a true emerald blade was stuck in it. The iron was treated in some way that the smiths had yet to discover. It was the sword of the Sengar family, their signifier to their noble bloodline. Both brothers reached out to touch the iron as they passed it. They saw their mother, Uruth, flanked by slaves as they worked on the Sengar tapestry, finishing the scenes of the Sengar's participation in the War of Unification. Caught up in her work, she did not look at her sons as they walked by. Their father, Tomad Sengar, sat with 3 other noble-born fathers around a game board. Troll halted at the edge of the table and put his hand on the pommel of his sword, signifying to his father that his words were urgent. Although none of the elders looked up, they rose and left silently. A moment later, Tomad set the game and pieces aside and settled back on his haunches. Troll settled down opposite of him. He explains to his father that a Lethari fleet is harvesting on the Kalak beds. The seal herds that have come early have been slaughtered. He has witnessed these with his own eyes. Tomad nodded and asked if Troll had run for 3 days straight. Troll said that he had. His father then asked if the Lethari harvest was well underway at that time. Troll said that by dawn this morning, daughter Menendor will have witnessed shipholds bursting at the seams, the sails in the wind, and in the wake of every ship, a crimson river. Rulad hissed to ask if new ships were arriving to take those leaving places. Tomad frowned, and Rulad's act of impropriety, and with a disapproving look, told him to take Troll's words to Mosag. Rulad said yes, and then marched away. After he had left, Tomad asked why Troll had invited an unblooded warrior to his exchange. Troll chose to say nothing, as he was not about to narc of his youngest brother's undue attention to Fear's wife. Troll asked his father if it was complacency to treat the ones they knew as honorable. Tomad said yes, given the circumstances. Troll asked why the king agreed to a great meeting with the Lethery. Troll saw the dark look in his father's eyes and said to his father that he rescinded his foolish question. After some smaller discussion, Tomad informed Troll that Mosag would need Troll to be present to relate what he had witnessed. Further, the king has made a request of his sons, and he doesn't think that what Troll had witnessed would impede those instructions. He asks about his brother Benatus, to which Tomad says Benatus has been informed and will return within a moon's time. Tomad also tells his son to rest, as Troll would be awakened in time for the council.
Nice job, dude. That was a long section for sure. One thing just caught my attention as you were reading, and I didn't know if I was pronouncing it wrong in my head. But as you were reading, I checked in the book, and it looks like you just missed a letter N, but it is Chrisnan, not Chrisan.
Oh, whoops. Whoopsie.
No big deal. Just like I said, when you read it, I was like, wait a second. I think I read that differently in my mind, so I wanted to check. That's all.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, it would probably just auto-correct it or something.
There's a lot of weird words, and yeah, that happens.
Yeah. I guess my first thought is when they're talking about the owl and the mouse, it says that dusk belonged to the hunters. And I feel like this is kind of directly alludes to the Edur, as it's kind of that perfect blend of a little light and more dark, offering a wider variety of shadows.
Yeah. Good thought, man. Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Very nerded out about this so far. I caught a lot of things, I think. What they mean, I don't know, but I'm going to say them anyway. There's this part where they talk about the raptor was not yet done this night. And I looked it up, and owls are considered raptors. I did not know that.
I guess I just kind of took it, that I figured Steve probably knew what he was talking about. But I guess I typically think of like an eagle or a hawk or something, not necessarily an owl.
Right. And then, again, not yet done this night. So should we name this owl Altovian?
Oh, come on, dude. Just shut up. Get out of here.
All right. Well, that's the end of the episode, y'all.
I did not see that. I did not see that comment ahead of time, so that was 100% like the real reaction.
Altovian.
Oh, you like that one, don't you?
Yeah, that's just an original.
Oh, there you go.
So,
you can keep it.
Yeah. So I found some interesting foreshadow, right? Like Troll's just strolling along singing hum diddy do diddy dum diddy day, right? But he's so distracted that he's unaware of the forest around him. And I get the sense that there were some signs and details around him that he's supposed to be paying attention to and is not. I didn't catch that on my first reread, but I definitely caught it on my summary. And I'm just kind of wondering, what do you think these signs are? Are these future book signs? Or are these the three daughters signs? Or are these something to do with what happens near the end of the book or the chapter?
I don't know because I didn't catch it reading it, so I had no idea.
My next thought, risking the attention of Sakul Ankadu, the daughter of Deceit, also known as Dapple. So being that the statement makes it seem by not avoiding the patches of light, so it kind of makes it seem like he went through what I would imagine light through the foliage, because Troll was zoning out. Is this potentially Osric's sister? Do each of Dark Light Shadow have their own father and mother? Is this why Bidithal was so hell-bent on remembering the dark? So is there a tie here? Are Light, Dark, and Shadow brother and sister who had their own kids, etc., etc.? In the real world, I would say yes. and each of those are related. I don't know. I'm just getting the big sense of like familial here, but also Osric seems to be like a very far-fetched thing because we know that this. Well, I guess we don't really know if this is one of Father Shadow's 3 daughters. It could be someone else's daughter, but
Maybe. Do you remember? I feel like I don't remember if it was in the chapter or if it was in the prologue, but didn't somewhere wasn't the Scavendari referred to as Father Shadow?
yes,
Okay, so I was remembering that correctly.
correct. I mean, these are the only there's 3 daughters that are mentioned. So I'm assuming that these are all Father Shadow's daughters. So does that mean that like, at dawn, right, there's more light and less dark, and then, at dusk there's more dark and less light, but I don't know where that third one is. Like what those would be associated with.
Do not know.
I just think it's interesting. But anyway, I'm sure that all will be revealed in good time, but you had a comment, sir.
I did. As you were going through, I thought for sure you would make mention of the jade on the shoreline.
I thought about it, but then I was
You
just
did,
like, I don't
okay.
really know. He's just collecting jade, right? Like that may be related to the jade statue, or it may not. So
Well, I don't know. I mean, the pieces, it's not like he's digging up a whole freaking arm, but like, what if it was one of those statues that crashed into the planet and just like broke up or something? I don't know.
maybe very possible.
But just the mention of jade got me excited because I was like, well, that's got to be a thing.
Right. I don't know. I didn't know what to make of it outside
Gotcha.
of what it was,
Sure. I didn't have anything like I was just like, oh, Justin didn't say anything about it. But I don't have any great thought on it either. So,
But you could be right. Like maybe it is a shattered piece of, the jade statues, right?
maybe.
Who knows? I thought this part with the seals being slaughtered was sad. So I feel like it's almost kind of a real world equivalence to some of the things that are happening or were happening.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I didn't equate it to anything in the real world, like slaughtering, like commercial slaughtering or anything, but I can see that. I can
Well,
see the
wasn't
connection.
there like in the 90s when we were growing up a big push to protect the seals because they were being killed relentlessly?
Do people eat seals somewhere in the world?
No,
I mean, I'm sure they
for their
probably do somewhere, but
like their tusks and skin.
oh, well, like, are we talking like walruses or like seals?
Seals.
Well, I don't think seals have tusks.
I
Walruses
don't.
do,
Maybe not.
right?
I don't know. I'm not very good at aquatic things.
I'm thinking of like the cute ones that are like little sea puppies.
Maybe.
Like, don't
Yeah.
go clubbing the seals.
Right. Exactly. Whatever. Moving on.
Maybe, I don't know. I guess I mean, I know like sharks eat them and shit, but I don't know why like you would just go out of your way to like kill one. Polar bears eat them.
Right. But polar bears are not killing them to, wear them as a coat. Right. Like.
True. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Next thought. The eater, the stealing of seals that belonged to the eater was defiance of the old agreements. So the Lethery are breaking a truce or some type of agreement to one, not come into eater lands, but also not to steal the eater seals. They're being assholes, these Lethery.
Yeah. It seems like the seals must be a pretty large part of the diet.
Right. Yes.
And it sounds like, the eater probably have like a hunting season on them so that they don't decimate them, right? So that they can continue to have a food supply.
Right. And it sounds like it's their primary source of food.
Yeah.
This part where they talk about he would still join his brothers and enact the Edur judgment on the trespassers or the Lethery. And it just reminds me of in House of Chains with the Leozans going after Gessler, Stormy, and Truth. They were so hell-bent on judgment, only to be turned away at the end. So there's some similarities. that I picked up with this.
Sure.
And then this part with trophies. Again, the whole trophies thing reminds me of the Teblor. And I know that like we wondered about it before, if there was any type of relation or not. I guess I'm still curious. So, or if that's just a thing everybody does,
Well, I don't know if everybody, but I think it's probably pretty common against like warrior societies, right? To have some sort of tally for their kills.
Yeah, that's true. Next thought. This part where they're talking about, as he's going through the residential streets, he sees shrines of Father Shadow and his favored daughter. And then there were like half shapes dancing along the pictographs, the sorceress emanations awakened by the shrines that had accompanied the dusk, right? So earlier, Troll had been so oblivious and zoned out to make appeasements to the favored daughter. And now in the city, it seems there is like a constant shrine, pictographs, and discs to appease the father and his favored daughter. So I wonder for those that don't appease, if that spells catastrophic consequences for those individuals. Like the father and the favored daughter needs to like constantly be happy or something.
It sounds like they just got like an ego complex or something,
Right. I mean, maybe like indoctrination a little bit. Like they seem to like the Edur seem to have like a very rigid society. They even mention it in here where like even the coups amongst the tribes, like the battles between the tribes were so like rigid and regimented, right? Like that there was barely any losses. Like they had their own damn rules in fights.
Do you think that they all have like a picture of Mosag in like their house? Like the North Koreans do for Kim Jong Un
I don't
or
know.
Il, whichever one's there now. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I guess I didn't think about the pictures, but maybe. I don't know.
Just stroking that ego.
And then this whole part where, the black cedars that were thousands of years old had been invested in sorcery to bleed out a shroud of gloom that would fill the entire village, right? And this confused me a lot at first. I'm like, well, what the fuck does that do? I think it's to hide from the light, right? I would imagine that a shroud of gloom would suffuse the light, so therefore shadows could be more able to play.
Interesting. That's a cool thought. I did not think of that, but I like that.
I lied too. And then, this Korathan raider boats. Do you think the Korathan are another tribe, or is it just the name of the boat? Because I feel like they did name off each of the 5 tribes, but
Yeah, I guess I just kind of thought it was like the style of the ship, like a cruiser or, like that's kind of the equivalent type deal. I don't know. I didn't get the sense it was another tribe, but it could be. I don't know.
I don't think it is. I think it's more, as you were saying, like a classification of ship or raider boat or whatever.
Right.
So I commented Rulad's best friend, Madik.
Sorry, it just makes me giggle.
I'm really not even trying. Like I'm just trying to say
I know
how it sounds. I'm sounding it out, Madik, right?
I know.
I just jotted down that was Rulad's best friend. And then, this uncharacteristic sparring, him, Rulad, and his best friend, Rulad and Madik are sparring, right? And, he's, showing off to Fear's like soon to be wife, right? And tying into that, Troll thought to himself that they were all indulging a little too much in Rulad. I get the sense that Rulad is maybe going to do some important stuff. If, Fear is willing to allow him to strut even before his betrothed or wife or soon to be wife, even though I don't really get the sense that Rulat is after Fear's wife, but rather the 4 women with her.
Oh,
But I could be
really?
wrong.
I guess I kind of felt like he maybe envious of man, I guess I should say envious of fear.
Maybe. But I almost kind of get the sense, right? Like, I keep thinking about the prologue to House of Chains, right? Where Troll is shorned. And throughout House of Chains, we know that the Edur, along with, 7 Faces in the Rock, are working with the crippled god. So I almost kind of wonder if the prologue, the people who shorned him, are the people we're meeting now, right? Like,
Yeah, because it's done by his brothers, so I wonder if it was his brothers, like literal brothers, or like brothers as in like a community or something.
yeah, knowing what I know from House of Chains about the Edur and the crippled god, I'm gonna go with there was probably some division between some of the Edur. Yeah, I have a feeling that based on House of Chains, Troll is kind of by himself. He's telling the sad story that all of his family chose the side of the crippled god.
I guess we'll find out, but I think you're
So,
probably on the right track.
so I wonder if the end of this book will tie into the beginning of House of Chains, that prologue,
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, it could.
because
It definitely
that's where
could.
like Troll's story starts for us as the reader.
Man, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder if like we're gonna see the Ascent. Like, do we see this world get flooded? Does that answer some questions?
Maybe.
The family longhouses that kind of surrounded the palisade before you get to the citadel. It was said that longhouses were the noble houses belonging to the line of Hanan Mosag. So I'm gonna go with that Troll and his family are related, if that makes sense.
Hadn't thought about it.
So I wonder if it's like his uncle or somebody.
Could be.
Also, I loved the trophies cluttered the outside walls, and then the whale bones clung the underside of the roof, and totems from rival tribes formed an arch over like the Sengar household. And if this doesn't give the sense of victors, I don't know what will. And I love how he like Erickson spells things out without ever like over explaining anything. So that was just really cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of neat descriptions there for sure.
A couple more. The iron, the true Emerlon blade that was stuck inside this like blackwood inside the house. And it said that the iron was treated in some way that the smiths had yet to discover. And again, kind of going back to the House of Chains, do you think that this is like an Ode to Terrell hint?
I don't know, but again, just because I just skimmed through the chapter today, I think it said that they had not rediscovered it,
Uh,
but that doesn't mean it couldn't be an Otaveral hint or something.
Fair enough.
And maybe I'm not right on that, but I feel like that sticks out in my head a little bit. I'm just nitpicking you to pieces, even though I don't have much to add.
It's fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's the first chapter of a new book with new characters.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And how much other like stupid shit do I get wrong? So
We all do it. Daughter Menendor. This is the third daughter that was brought up, but I get the sense that each daughter is tied to each varying of light. Menendor seems to be tied to Dawn, which is the end of night, bringer of light. Early in the chapter, they mention Sakul Hadu, the daughter of deceit, also known as Dapple, and how Troll was avoiding the patches of light. So is Dapple the daughter of Dark? I'm not sure what I was trying to say there, but I think that like the daughters confuse me a little bit because if they're stemming from shadow, then they should be shadow aspected. But I also kind of get the sense that there may be some light, like maybe Father Shadow played around with Mother Light, and created dusk, dawn, and I don't know,
Whatever.
noontime. Like I'm not sure how that relates.
Sure. Yeah.
I think I'm close.
Hey, man, you could be. I have no idea, but I will be excited when we get there.
Yeah. But yeah, that was all I had about that extremely long section. And I get that like that section is really just kind of setting the scene, showing us where Troll lives, his family, but also there's this thing going on, right? We've got some invaders, some trespassers that are breaking agreements, and we don't like that.
Right.
Go
You
ahead.
ready for me to keep going?
Go ahead.
A white crow hopped down and began to eat from the heap. Troll thought it was a gull at first, lingering in the last of the fading light. It cracked open a mussel shell and kept eating. Sleep wasn't going to happen as the council had been planned for midnight. His restless nerves with his tired limbs, Troll had walked from the beach to the mouth of the river. Darkness rolled in with the sleepy waves as he found himself sharing the space with the white crow. The crow dipped the mussel into the water 6 times. Of course, white was an evil color, like Menendor's hateful light at dawn, and like the sails on the Letheri ships. The clear waters of Calic Bay would show the white bones of the slaughtered seals. The season should have meant a surplus for the 6 tribes, replenishing their reserves to fend off famine. But this made him look at the illegal harvesting in a new way, a strategic way to weaken the Confederacy and to undermine the Edur position at the Great Meeting. Troll thought it was the argument of inevitability, the same argument that was first used against them. The Letheri Empire is expanding. Their need grows. It was inevitable that more than one ship would come to illegally harvest in these waters. They had no way to police them all. The Edur only needed to look at other tribes that had once dwelt near the kingdom of leather and the vast rewards that had come from swearing fealty to King Esgara Diskanar. Troll thought, however, they were not other tribes. The crow cackled, tossed the shell, and then took to the sky. Troll made a warning gesture. He heard footsteps from behind, and it was his brother Fear, who said the words Troll had delivered had roused the warriors. Troll asked, what about the Warlock King? Fear said he had done nothing. Troll looked back out to the waves and said they were focused on the ships. Fear told him Hanan Mosag knows to look the other way. Troll said Mosag had asked for the sons of Tomad Sengar. What did he know of that? Fear said visions had guided Mosag since he had been a child, for he carried blood memories from the dark times that Father's shadow stretches before him with every step he takes. The thought of visions made Troll uneasy, but he did not doubt their power. The dark times had come with a rivening of the Teist Edur, assault on sorceries, strange armies, and even Father Shadow disappearing himself. The magic of Geralt Emerlon was not denied to the tribes, but the warren had been lost to them. Shattered, the fragments ruled by false kings and gods. Troll suspected that Mosag had bigger ambition than just uniting the 6 tribes. Fear said he could sense Troll's reluctance, that he was a warrior, but that he didn't want to fight. Troll said it wasn't a crime, and that only he, or Fear, and their father had more trophies than him. Fear said he didn't question his bravery. After all, the Edur were once the master of the hounds. They once held the throne of Geralt Emerlon, and still would if they hadn't been betrayed by Scavendari and the rest of the Teist Andi. The Letheri are but one enemy, and the king understands that. Troll told his brother he would not hesitate in fighting their enemies. Fear said this was good, but was it enough to keep Rulad silent? Troll asked if Rulad spoke out against him. Fear said, where he sees weakness. Troll cut him off, saying what he sees and what is true are 2 different things. Fear told him to show him otherwise in that case. Troll was silent. He had been dismissive against Rulad's endless challenges and posturing. He meant to keep Fear's betrothed safe, but that was ultimately Fear's responsibility. Man didn't invite Rulad's advances, but she also didn't shut them down. Troll told Fear he would not show Rulad what he should already see. He had done nothing to earn the gift of his regard. Fear told Troll that Rulad lacked the subtlety to see Troll's reluctance as anything other than weakness. Troll said that was Rulad's failing, not his. Fear interjected, asking if he would expect a blind man to be able to cross a stream. No, he couldn't. He would have to guide him across until his mind's eye could see what everyone else could. Troll said if everyone else could see, then Rulad's words were worthless and he was right to ignore them. Fear told Troll that Rulad was not alone in lacking subtlety. Troll asked if his brother wanted enemies among the three of them. Fear said Rulad is not an enemy to him or any other Edur. He is only young and eager to be blooded. Troll was once in the same position. How did he act then? Troll said he could see the truth in that and said he would try to rein in his indifference. Fear could sense the sarcasm and didn't answer it. Instead, he said the council was gathering at the Citadel. He would enter the king's hall at his side. Troll said he would be honored. They turned away from the dark waves, unaware that the white crow was gliding a short distance away. I think, if I remember correctly, on the other copy of Midnight Tides that I have, I think there's a white crow on there. It might be on like the side of the book. So I wonder, it obviously must be important. So I wonder what kind of like role that will play.
It is. I can give you an answer
Well,
if I can find the. If I could find the. It's the white crow is a fulcra.
how do you know this?
We can talk about it in my next section
Okay,
or one of my next sections.
sure. Anyways, I looked up to see how rare white crows are, at least in our world, and they happen, but it's about 1 in every 30 to 100,000 birds. This is kind of a wide range there, but they're out there.
Okay, that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure, so I checked.
Nice. Well, I mean, that's good to know, right? Kind of like my owl and the raptor thing.
Yeah, I guess that was we both got bird things here this chapter, so I didn't come up with a
we're not
funny nickname though for you.
We're not Altolvian. It's a good one. All right, what else you got for us?
The sleepy waves. I liked the personification to the waves, just kind of like in the first section, and it just kind of continues here, and I like that.
Do you see how that aligns a little bit with our first section in this chapter?
Like him standing on the beach?
No, I mean, he essentially laid down to go to sleep, and then the waves that he always thought were retreating, he assumed that they would always do that, and he ended up drowning.
Oh, because
the waves came too closer.
The tide came in.
Yeah, sleepy waves.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The crow dipping its food in the water 6 times. I just thought that was oddly specific.
What else is there 6 of, though?
Tribes.
Yep.
I had to
there are 6 Edur tribes. Again, I don't know if that is like what the white crow represents, which we'll get to.
Okay.
The fulcra, but it's definitely not a good thing.
All right. Well, more to come then. I'm excited to see what you got in store then.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm probably building this up on a pedestal, and it's probably not going to be that great, but it does offer something.
Okay. Well, hey, I will take it.
Not really an answer, but more visibility, maybe.
Okay. Well, clearly, I'm not picking this stuff up the same way that you are. So, I mean, always interested to hear it.
Okay. All right. Well, it's probably my favorite part in the book, so I'm excited to get there.
In the chapter?
But chapter. I don't know why the fuck I always do that.
Well, I mean, it could be your favorite part in the book so far.
No, maybe. Yeah. Yes.
This talk about the color white and how it's evil was interesting to me because I feel like normally like black is the color that gets associated with evil. So I thought it was kind of cool just to see that inverted.
Yeah, he's definitely taking tropes and twisting them or reversing them, right?
Yeah.
But what else do you associate white with?
Like in general or from like this chapter?
This world.
Well, the Leosians were white.
Yep.
white armor and all that. Yeah.
Yep. I get the sense that to the Edur, the Leozans are evil, right? Because light destroys their hiding places.
Good call.
Yeah.
Next thought, Menendor. I know you had that like in a previous section, but have we heard that name in another book at all, or no? That you can recall?
Maybe like once very briefly, but I don't think so.
Okay.
But, you know, again, it says Menendor's hateful light. How is that associated to Father Shadow if it's light?
Maybe she's rebelling against her father.
In some way, shape, or form? Sure. Yeah.
I don't know what else to make of it, and I don't even know that that's a great idea, but that's the only thing I could think of.
Well, maybe it's one of those things where, you know, Father Shadow, right? I mean, he's a mixture of light and dark, right? So maybe of his three daughters, which again, there's the trifecta again. You've got three siblings, all representing light, shadow, dark.
You're keeping it going, man. The Edur being the master of the hounds, I thought that was neat, and I don't remember if we knew that in House of Chains or not, or if we learned it there at all.
Yes,
We did.
we do.
Okay, can you tell me what chapter?
Remember on no, I can't tell you what chapter.
You've been stumped.
I know.
I don't remember either. So.
No, I'm not stumped. Remember on Drift of Ollie when Andarist and Cutter were fighting the Edur, and he calls upon the hounds, and the Edur like tell the hounds to back off, and then it's later revealed by the rope that they used to be in control by the Edur.
I remember them fighting on Drift of Volley. I guess I don't remember that specific interaction with the rope though.
All right.
But I will trust you because I'm sure you were right on that.
Yes, I will take a pie on that one.
So you'll let me hit you with a pie?
No, I'm saying that like if I'm wrong, I'll take a pie.
Oh, well, yeah, you're not wrong. I'm sure you're not.
Yeah. All right.
We get this bickering. I don't know if you call it bickering, I guess, but Troll's kind of seems like he's annoyed with how Fear is talking about Rulad to him, and just, you know, not quite the brotherly love, huh?
No, this section made me not. I don't like Rulad. I'm getting like uneasy vibes about him. I think that he's probably the one who fucks Troll over at the beginning of House of Chains. I don't know. Yeah.
You know what?
I just don't get a good feeling about him at all.
I like Rulad. You know why? I think he's got a cool name.
Oh, yeah.
Good enough for me.
And his best friend is Medic.
Yeah.
I'm done. I won't do it again.
Never say never, Justin.
Never.
And then the White Crow again. I know you said we'll talk about it here, but the whole thing's got me curious, and is it a spy or something? Like, what is it? But I guess I will wait and see to hear what you have to say.
Okay, fair enough.
But that's all I got.
And I apologize. It's not actually in my next section.
Well,
it's in the section after that.
Okay, well, it's coming up then.
I think it's in my last section.
Gotcha.
Or the one before that. I'm not even too sure.
It's up
because there were 7. Yeah, there were 7 sections total, right? Yes.
Only 7, or 7 for each of us.
No, only 7. Oh no, there was 9. Okay, yeah. So it's not. Yeah, it's section 6 in section 6.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we'll get there soon enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, are you ready to move on, or?
Yeah, I'm good.
13 years ago, Eudenas had been a young sailor in the 3rd year of his family's indentured servitude to the merchant in Taros of Trait, the northernmost city of Lether. He was aboard the whaling ship named the Brunt. He was returning from a run in Bonetta. They had killed 3 female seals and were dragging them through the waters in Kalak Bay when 5 Korathan ships of the Harath started trailing them. The captain's greed had doomed them all, and he would not let go of his catch. Eudenas remembered well the faces of the officers, even the captain, as they were bound to one of the female seals and tossed in the sea for the sharks and Denrabi to feed upon. The sailors were taken off the ship, along with any iron and things the Edur found valuable. Shadow wraiths were sent upon the brunt to devour and tear apart the dead wood of the Lethery ship. Even back then, Eudinas had been indifferent to the fate of the captain and the officers. He had been born into debt like his father, and his father before him. Indenture and slavery were two words for the same thing. The life of the Harathi slave wasn't terribly harsh, as obedience was rewarded with protection and abundance of things needed to live. Among his many tasks within the house of Sengar was the repair of nets for the 4 Canary fisher boats owned by the family. Because he had been a sailor, he was not allowed to leave land. He didn't have the desire to leave the Edur, as there were plenty of Lethery slaves in the village, so there were plenty to talk to, as miserable as it often was. Also, the comforts of Lether were not sufficient enough to pull him away, as he never partook in them anyway. Lastly, Eunidius hated the sea with a passion. In the fading light, he has seen the 2 oldest of the Sengar brothers at a beach on the opposite side of the river. He was able to hear the pair faintly, and they spoke of the Lethery ship striking again. He figured a council would be called, and there would be a slaughter of the Lethery. Eunidius wished the Edur well in that hunt, as seals taken by the Lethery threatened famine to the Edur, and typically the slaves were first to suffer. Eunidius well understood his own kind, and gold was the only thing that mattered. Gold and its possession defined their entire world. The King of Seals was a ploy the Lethery had enacted against every tribe beyond the borderlands. To the Lethery, the Edur were no different. He thought to himself that the Edur were different, and called his homeland a fool. Even so, the next move would come at the Great Meeting, where the Warlock King would blindly accept the Lethery Treaty. He worried about what would happen afterwards. 3 slaves passed him, and one called out to him saying that the Feather Witch was going to make a cast this night, even as the council gathered. Eunidius responded saying that he will be there. As he packed his tools, he heard a flap of wings behind him. He turned to see a pale shape skim the water and then was gone. He blinked and convinced himself that he had not seen what he had thought he saw. He hoped it was anything but that. He crouched, and in some bare sand to his left, he made an invoking sigil with his small finger. He whispered a prayer to Errant. He lowered his hand and looked down at the symbol he had drawn. He said out loud of the crow to be gone. He heard the sigh of the wind and the murmur of the waves, then a distant cackle. Shivering, he bolted upright, gathered his things, and made his way to the gate.
Dude, you switched his name partway through.
Did I?
You did.
Oh. Oh, yeah. I switched the D and the N.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Just another name that I like a lot.
How do you say it?
Udinas.
Udinas?
Yeah,
Ooh,
or
I like that.
Udinas. But I like the name.
Udinas.
I think I like him as a character too. I think I don't know what his story's going to bring, but I'm interested by it.
Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like this is satire on Erickson's part, where he's saying that indentured servitude and slavery were 2 words for the same thing. And it doesn't sound like indentured servitude at all, as there wasn't any way to buy or win his freedom. 3 generations is not indentured servitude. That is just straight up slavery,
Could be something that you ask. Maybe we should start a document for questions on this book. Probably be a good idea. But I think that would be a good thought-provoking question.
Yeah. We can star this or something. I don't know.
I think
we just comment with stars. Okay. Udinas understood his own kind, and gold was the only thing that mattered. Gold and its possession defined their entire world. So basically, the Lethery are not listening to this treaty because they're so engrossed in gold and money and being greedy that they will essentially stop at nothing to get it, right? Like, the seals are the Edur's, like, a food source, a main food source. and they're not even eating the seals. I'm assuming they're probably skinning them and selling them, and you know what I mean, like trying to get rich, right?
Maybe they eat some of it, but yeah, probably not in the amount
Yeah.
that they're killing. But was it? I think Tony did mention that this, and probably Jan too, that there were some like stabs taken at like capitalism here in this book too, and that would
Yes,
definitely be
yes.
one for sure.
But also, you remember how in last episode you were talking about the character on Reaper's Gale sitting in the throne?
Oh yeah,
And I told you that he was all covered in gold coins or
I don't
whatever.
even remember who I thought it was at the time that I asked about.
I don't remember either. I'm wondering if that dude is some type of lethargy, like so caught up in greed that he just has coins permanently protruding from him or something.
Just stapled him
You
to
know what I mean?
himself.
Or not even that, but just some type of like surrealistic type thing or sorcery, or you know what I mean? Like he was so greedy that the gods punished him to always show coin on him. I don't know.
You know,
Something like that.
I've been I feel like that's probably the book I'm most excited to read. And I don't even really know why. Like part of it's the cover. I think that cover's cool as hell. But I'm gonna be really bummed out if I like feel like that's the worst book out of the series or something.
I'm excited for Toll the Hounds, I think. I just love the cover art and the like green glowing like background. Like, yeah, I'm excited.
Well, we got to get through a few books before each of us gets to the one we're both we're excited for.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Second to last here. He convinced himself that he had not seen what he thought he saw, which I'm assuming is probably this white crow, right? And I guess I'm a little confused. Well, actually, no, I'm not confused, but I would imagine that you and I would agree that this what he's seeing is the white crow.
Yeah.
As later on he says for the crow to be gone and then makes like an invoking signal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you remember, Troll did the same thing when he saw the white crow.
I wonder if
he like made a ward.
Yeah, maybe Udinus like has adopted that, or maybe the Lothari feel similarly.
Maybe. I know that their worship is revealed in my next section. I don't know if the Edur feel the same way or what, but yeah.
Well, they must feel similarly, at least in regards to either the color white or the fact that it's a white crow. But
right, those were my only thoughts about that. I would agree with you. I'm like in Udinus so far.
Yeah,
seems like a good dude.
I don't know what it is, but like cool names like draw me into characters. If it was just Bill or something, like I probably wouldn't care.
Yeah. I feel like all of these names are cool in their own regards.
Yeah.
But some are a little cooler than others, yeah.
And if anybody listening, if your name's Bill, I'm sorry, but that was just the example name. Don't take any offense.
Yeah.
I mean, my name's Derek. It's not that exciting either, so.
My name's Justin, so.
All
right, well.
Section 5. The king's meet was in a massive round chamber. Unblooded warriors of noble birth ringed the outermost edge. Next, one ring closer were the matrons, wedded and also widowed women. Closer in the circle from them were the unwedded women and the betrothed kneeling on hides. And before them, where the ground dropped in level, were the warriors. At the center, on a raised dais, was the king warlock Hanan Mosag with his 5 hostage princes. Troll and Fear took their places among the warriors. Troll looked at Mosag and thought he was average in build and rather unassuming, and he might have even been slightly paler than most Edur. His power was not physical. It was in his voice, demanding to be listened to without regard to the volume. As he stood in silence, you would have thought he became king by accident. His clothing was no different than anyone else's, except he had no trophies, other than the 5 that sat around him. Another sign of his power was how large his shadow stood behind him, huge and with long and indistinct but deadly swords in both gauntleted hands. His shadow was a bodyguard that never slept. Few warlocks were able to create such a creature when drawing from the life force of their own shadow, crawled Emerlane, flowed silent into the ever-vigilant bodyguard. Troll looked at the hostages, the Krishnan, more like representatives of their fathers. Their names had been taken away and they had been given new ones in secret, bound with spells. One day they would return to their tribes, but their loyalty would be absolute. The hostage from the Merud tribe, which was the biggest tribe, was across from Troll, with a population of about 100,000, 40,000 or so of them blooded. They should have been the leaders of the Edur, if not for Mosag's strength with fragments of curled emerald. The chief of the Merud had much more skill with the spear than as a mage. But no one but Mosag and the leader of the Merud knew the truth of how the Merud submitted, for they had been holding strong against the other clans. The rituals of war were quickly unraveling, and the fighting was becoming brutal. Born from desperation, ancient laws on the verge of shattering. One night, Mosag had somehow walked into the opposing forces' camp, into their leader's very own house, and the next morning the Merud had surrendered. Troll didn't know what to believe of the tale that the chief of the Merud no longer cast a shadow, for Troll had never seen him. However, his son now sat before Troll, head shaved, indicating the sundering of his bloodline. Everyone was still and looked at Mosag. He did not raise his voice, though it still boomed across the room. Rulad, unblooded warrior and son of Tomad, has brought me words of his brother, Troll Sengar, who has traveled to the Kalak shore seeking jade. He had witnessed a dire event and has ran for 3 days and 2 nights. He told Troll to rise and to stand at his side, tell his tale. Troll made his way up, trying to disguise his fatigue, and told his story of the seals arriving early and 19 Lethari ships coming to harvest in their waters. There was outrage at the news. He had seen all the carcasses, the ships sitting low in the water. He had watched from a not far distance of men on the shore among the seals. Those in the crowd wanted to know if they saw him. Troll said they did, and they checked their slaughter. They were far enough away he could see their mouths move, but not hear the words. But he did see them laugh. Those in the room were angry. Mosag made a hand movement, and the room went silent. He said Troll was not done with his tale. Troll said those that knew him knew his preferred weapon was the spear, and now he does not have it, for he had surrendered it into the chest of one of the men. The crowd went wild. Mosag said he did what every Edur warrior would have done, but now he is weaponless. So now he needs to push his pride to the side and look at what is signified by the thrown spear, a dead Lethari, a weaponless Edur, and he sees among his warriors 1,000 flung spears and 1,000 dead Lethari, 1,000 disarmed Edur. No one spoke, but they all thought the same thing. They have many spears. Mosag could see they were hungry for vengeance, and the raiders must be slain. Even in prelude to the great meeting, their slaying is desired. The Edur reaction anticipated. These are the games the Lethari play, and they would not do as the Lethari intended. The raiders would die, but none of them would do the killing. The Edur would do as predicted, but in the most unanticipated way. There will be slaughter of the Lethari, but it is not that time. Mosag promised it would come to them. Their fates will be bound within Corral Emerald. Troll shivered and the room was silent. Mosag continued, saying a full unveiling by his Krishnan. Weapons and armor would be useless for the Lethari. They will die in pain and in terror. Troll's heart was pounding and his mouth was dry. He wondered what lost power Mosag had found. The last full unveiling had been by Scavendari Bloodeye, Father Shadow himself. Before the warren had been sundered, and the sundering had not healed. Troll thought it never would be. Some fragments were bigger and more powerful than others. Perhaps Mosag had found a new one. Dude, were you playing a bass or a guitar?
Yeah.
You got one again? I thought you got rid of yours.
No, it's Danny's.
Oh, I didn't know she had one.
Yeah, she plays guitar.
Oh, didn't know that. Nice little tangent, that's all. I was like, I just kind of saw the corner of my eye, like, what the fuck is he just guy doing? I thought you got rid of that.
I did get rid of it a long time ago. But I want to get another one.
You should.
I will eventually.
All right. So my thoughts here. So my first thought, and some of it as I was reading, I wasn't very patient with this, but it talks about Masag's shadow and like how large it's behind him. And when I was first reading that, I'm like, damn, like I wonder if this is really a thing or if it's just, a description. But then we kind of find out that it is a thing, and that his shadow is kind of like its own thing, its own being almost.
Entity.
Yeah, entity.
Yeah.
Good word for it there. So I thought that was cool because I did not catch that the first time through. So
It's kind of interesting, right? Like it I don't know. It reminds me of the whirlwind.
Troll thinking about Mossad going into this other tribe's camp, and then the dude just surrenders the next day, and Troll is like, I don't know what to make of this story. This guy doesn't cast a shadow anymore. And then Mosag's got this like gigantic shadow, right? Like that'd be pretty badass if he like stole his shadow. Don't know if he did or not, but I guess it's a good campfire story at least.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems too easy, right? Like it's built up that the Marud tribe should have easily dominated all of them, right? Because it kind of makes it sound like the other 5 tribes went up against the Marud, and then Mosag walks in there and gets him to acquiesce, and now he's a dictator, right? Like it seems a little suspicious to me.
Yeah, it's just I guess kind of one of those tall tales,
Yeah. Well, I wonder if he just overpowered him with Corralled Emerlon, like, or showed him something that he had no choice to. I mean, he gave up his son,
Well,
right? As one of these croissant.
I keep thinking you're going to say croissant.
Yeah, me too, man. It's a Carnatus thing
again. Carnatus, some croissants with Carnatus.
Yeah.
Maybe you can have Altovian deliver them for you. I don't know.
I could, yeah. Or maybe Altolvian is Hedwig or whatever.
Yeah,
Harry Potter.
Your delivery owl.
Yep.
I imagine he probably gave Mosag was probably like, give me what I want, or I'm gonna like annihilate everybody, your family, like
everybody.
Yeah.
I don't like him either.
I guess right now I don't really know how I feel about him. I need a little more info to determine. I guess I'm indifferent right now.
You don't get Uki vibes from him? Like he seems a little bit of an imposter to me.
I mean, he's just the dude running the show right now.
I guess we'll see and find out, right?
Yeah. The sundering of his bloodline with this, the Krishnan. So you stole this guy's son, and then now you have no way to like continue your bloodline. I'm like, damn, that's just brutal.
Mm-hmm. Well, and doesn't it say somewhere in here that eventually he would let them go back to the remaining tribes so that they would continue to work for Mosag?
Yeah. Yeah, their loyalty would be absolute to him, though. So like they're brainwashed.
Kind of seems that way, yeah.
Or if they're just like magically compelled to do what he wants, I don't know.
Maybe. I'm just gonna go with that.
And then we get Jade brought up again. Troll, he was looking for Jade, and so it just makes me wonder if there's any ties to the Jade statues in the Edur, or if they're just like, hey, pretty rocks. I like that and want more of it or something. I don't know.
I mean, there could be. I'm not going to say that there isn't, but I think it's more just because it's the same event, right? Like, we're just getting the same event. Like, we know Troll was looking for Jade, right?
But it's just the fact that it's brought up again.
Yeah. I mean, it could have something to do with something. I don't know. I'm curious for sure, but I don't have much information.
Right. Yeah. We get a little bit of info on the unveiling by Scavendari. Like, I don't really think we saw that in the prologue so much. It was just he has his warriors kind of annihilate the last Andy, the last 1,000 or whatever the number was. Like, do you have a picture in your head what that unveiling would look like? Like, what do you think happened? I don't have anything, but I'm curious. I'm just curious if you have any thoughts as to what you would imagine in your head.
I mean, I would imagine it's just like a raw burst of energy, right? Like, second effort, or, just this like pure, explosion of sorcery, like the maximum amount allowed, you know what I mean? Type thing. But this is the interesting part, is like the unveiling thing isn't a new concept to us.
No.
But what it actually means or entails, we still have no clue.
And with a different Warren, it could be different from what we have seen. I would expect it to be different.
I mean, my guess is that it's going to go along the lines with Scanbandari betraying the Andi.
All right.
Right.
Those are the only thoughts I had. Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah. What do you think unbloodied means?
Unblooded?
Yeah.
Like they haven't been in a battle or something.
That's what I thought too. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that is what it is. Okay.
Look at us agree.
Yay. All right.
I'm ready to continue.
All right.
This might have been my favorite section, I think.
As well.
You like this one?
Yes. All right. Faded, battered, and chipped tiles lay scattered before Featherwitch. The casting was done, even as Eudinius strode into the barn to bring word of the omen, to warn the young slave woman from a scanning of the holds. He thought to himself that it was too late. 100 slaves had made the turnout, and heads turned to him as he entered the circle. His eyes remained fixed on Featherwitch. He could tell that her soul had already walked back on the path to the holds. She had been born in the village 18 years ago, rare for a winter birth, only because she didn't die. It was around the age of 4 when she began having dreams about talking to the ancestors. The old tiles of the Edur hold had been dug up from a grave of the last Lethery who had possessed that talent. There had been no one to teach her the mystery of those tiles, but as it turned out, she needed no help from any mortals, as ghostly ancestors had provided that. She was a handmaiden to Mayan, and upon her marriage to Fear, Featherwitch would enter the Sengar household. Udinus was madly in love with her. It was hopeless, though, as Featherwitch would be given a husband from among the better born of the Lethery slaves. As he stood staring at her, Ulad reached up and grabbed his wrist and pulled him down into a sitting position. He asked Udinius what was wrong. Udinius replied that he had seen a white crow, and while he begged Errant, all he heard was the crow laughing. Their convo had been overheard by the others, and murmurs whispered out from the people. Featherwitch suddenly moaned and silenced the crowd, and all eyes were once again fixed on her. Her head slowly raised, and terror was written on her face. The terror of beginnings, her soul standing before oblivion. It seemed she was in a place of loneliness and despair. She was in the time before worlds, and now must stride forward, to witness the rise of the holds. Udinius, like all the Lethery, knew the sequences of events. First would come the 3 fulcra, known as the Realm Forgers. Fire, the silent scream of light, then dolmen, bleak and rootless, drifting in the void. And into the path of those 2 forces was the errant. It had its own unknowable laws, as it would draw fire and dolmen into the fierce wars. Vast fields of destruction. Occasionally there would be peace made between the 2. Fire would bathe but not burn, and dolmen would stop its wandering ways and find its roots. The errant would then forge the mysterious holds, ice, Eliant, Azath, and Beast. And in their midst would emerge the remaining fulcra, Axe, Knuckles, Blade, the Pack, Shapefinder, and White Crow. As the realms took place, the light would intensify and the final hold would be revealed. The hold that had existed unseen from the very beginning. The empty hold, which was what the Lethri worshipped. It was the center of the vast, spiraling realms, home to the throne that knew no king, home to the wanderer knight, and to the mistress who awaited still, alone in her bed of dreams. To the watcher who witnessed all, and the walker who patrolled borders he could not even see. To the savior whose outstretched hand would never be grasped. Finally, the betrayer whose loving embrace destroyed all it touched. Featherwitch started to speak, saying to the crowd to walk with her to the holds. She continued on, and that they stood upon dolmen, broken rock, pitted and scarred by kin. Its surface seethes with life so small it escapes their eyes. Life locked in eternal wars, blade and knuckles. We are among the beasts. She can see the bone perch, slick with blood and layered with countless memories of usurpers. She sees the elder, still faceless, still blind, and crone, who measured the cost by writing passages in that of giants. She sees seer who speaks to the indifferent. She sees shaman who searches for answers among the dead, and hunter who lives in the moment and thinks nothing of the consequences of slaughter, and tracker who sees signs of the unknown and walks the endless path of tragedy. The hold of the beast here in this valley is a scratch upon Dolman's skin. She continues to say there is no one upon bone perch. Chaos hones its every weapon, and the killing goes on and on. From that whirlpool, powerful creatures arise, and the slaying reaches beyond measure. Such powers must be answered. The errant returns and casts the seed into blood-soaked earth. Thus rises the hold of the Azath, deadly shelter for tyrants, and they are easily lured, and so balance is achieved. It remains a grisly balance, no end to wars, although they are few, so their cruel ways become a focus. Her voice was like sorcery unbound. The rough-edged song entranced all those who heard it. Featherwitch walked from the beginnings, and there was no fear in her words. She spoke again, saying that the passage of time was a prison. We are shackled with progression, and so the errant returns once again, and the ice hold arises, with attendant servants who journey through the realms to war against time. Walker, huntress, shaper, bearer, child and seed. Upon a throne of ice sits death. To shatter shackles of mortal life, it is a gift, but a cold one. To achieve balance once more, the Eliant is born, and chaos is given flesh in draconian form. Ruled by the queen, who must be slain again and again by every child she bears, her consort, who loves none but himself, then liege, servant and guardian, and doomed to eternal failure. Night, the very sword of chaos itself, and Gate, which is the breath, Weevil, spawn of the dragons, and the lady, the sister, blood drinker, and path shaper, the fell dragons. She said that one hold remains. Eudinius and the others said it out loud in unison, the empty hold. Featherwitch tilted her head and said that something was circling the empty throne. She cannot see it, but it circles. A pallid hand, severed and dancing. She stiffened, and then red spurted from wounds on her shoulders, and she was lifted from the ground. Screams all in witness, surging forward with outstretched arms. It was too late, as invisible wings dusted the air in the barn. It carried her to the shadows beneath the ceiling. She shrieked. Eudinius pushed his way past the people and climbed some wooden stairs. Featherwitch screams filled the air and thrashed in the invisible talons. He thought to himself that crows did not have talons. He reached the loft and ran across the uneven planks and leapt into the air. His target was hovering above her. When he reached the place, he hit something hard with a massive scaled body. He heard a hiss, and needle-like teeth pierced his skin. Eudinius grunted and thought to himself that it was a weevil, spawn of the Eliant. With his left hand, he grabbed a hook at his belt. The beast tore at his shoulder, and blood gushed out. Twisting around, ignoring the pain, he slashed downward to where he thought the weevil's legs would be. He connected, and the beast screamed, releasing Featherwitch. She plummeted into the mass of onlookers below, talons hammered at Eudinas, whatever, chest, and punched through. He continued slashing, the leg spasmed back, jaws drew away, and then snapped home again, this time around his neck. Hook fell from his hand and blood filled his nose and mouth. Darkness witnessed across his vision, and he heard the weevil scream again, this time in terror and pain, the sound emanating from its nostrils, and then the jaws let him free. Eudinas was falling, and he knew nothing more.
There was a lot happening in this section. I'm glad this was your section. Even though I liked it a lot, I didn't know what to make a lot of it, but now, I didn't remember that the crow was listed in the fulcra there, so I mean, I guess that was an easy answer there, but I didn't remember that part. Probably because I didn't summarize it.
That's fair, and I mean that's always the balance, right? Yeah, you're right. I mean, when you summarize, you get way more of a foothold on what's taking place than when you don't.
Yeah.
So, to warn the young slave woman from scanning of the holds, right? So she's got these chip tiles that were basically dug up by the previous Lethery who had visions and could speak to the ancestors, right? But also in Deadhouse Gates, Icarium and Mappo in Poos Castle came across some tiles, right? Essentially, from what I understand, is that this is like the old school version of the Deck of Dragons. What I don't understand, though, is why is the White Crow an omen to stay away from reading the Deck of Dragons, right? Or the holds.
I don't know. Definitely don't have any answer on that.
Well, this next thought may answer it. It may not. But, Eudinas or whatever begged Errant, right? And then in reply, all he got was like a laugh from the White Crow. But per the back of Midnight Tides in the holds page, it looks as if the White Crow and Errant are players within the unaligned hold called the Fulcra. Fulcra and unaligned to the Deck of Dragons are the same thing.
All right.
But I also, if by naming Fulcra, if that is related to Fulcrum, like, are they a pivot point? Is that kind of like a hint as to what those players are?
I kind of wonder the same thing.
Yeah. This part where, the first three Fulcra are like the realm forgers, right? Like they're creating these realms, right? And I think if I'm following, right, that fire is represented by light.
Makes sense.
And Dolmen is represented as dark. And to me, Errant is the shadow, right? Like having unknowable laws, right? It would draw both light and dark to fight endlessly, right? Until there was a rare occasion where peace would take place. But now that, Errant is not causing these two to fight, he has the ability to kind of do his own thing, right? So therefore, he makes these holds.
Sorry, while you're talking, I was looking up what dolmen meant because I didn't know what that word meant. I don't know if you did.
No.
I don't know how applicable it is, but the first thing I get, it says it's a megalithic tomb with a large flat stone laid on upright ones, found chiefly in Britain and France.
I
don't know if that changes any of your thoughts or not.
No, it doesn't really do anything.
Okay. Just wasn't a word that I was familiar with, and I know I had the same. I'm like, what the fuck does this mean? As I was reading it. So
I mean, I'm just going on what I have here, and it says fire, the silent scream of light, and then dolmen, bleak and rootless, drifting in the void, right? Like, darkness is rootless. It's bleak, and it's always it's drifting, right? Like there's nowhere for dark to take place or to root into.
Gotcha.
Yeah. If I'm correct, if Errant is shadow being born, and then he forges the hold, like holds essentially means shadow forged the holes. And to me, that means shelter. As shadow essentially protects both from light and dark, because too much of either means you can't see But in Shadow, there's the perfect mixture, right? So I feel like that is how essentially in this world beasts are made, which is shown here, right? Like as the two made peace, the errant or Shadow created, Ice, Eliant, Azath, and Beast. And humans are a part of beasts.
Going with it.
Yes. When they're talking about the empty hold, which is what the Lethery worshipped, right? Like that's how Eudinius kind of knows about the White Crow and makes the sigil and prays to errant and stuff like that. Like that is his primary religion. Whether the Edur share the same, I guess I'm uncertain about that. But the way that this is described, like it was the center of the vast spiraling realms. It makes me think of solar system a bit, like how the realms or planets revolve around the sun.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but I can get on board. I didn't really know
And
what I thought on a lot of this. I was just like, I think this is cool. I don't understand much of it, and I'm not gonna try too hard to. I know, like, but I knew you would be into it. So I was like, okay, okay, I feel good, even if I don't really understand, because Justin can help with that.
Well, and on the opposite side of that, if we've got planets rotating around a light source, right? Well, I mean, there's a dark side of the moon for a reason, right? Like light cannot touch that. So therefore, you've got light and dark.
Yeah.
Always warring with each other. But moving on with this like empty throne, a throne that knew no king, home to the wandering knight, right? The wandering knight kind of makes me think of Karza a little bit. The mistress who awaited still, alone in her bed of dreams, the watcher who witnessed all, the walker, the savior, and the betrayer. I have no idea who that could be, but I was kind of wondering if maybe this is the crippled god. At the end, Featherwitch is saying like something is circling, and I'm wondering if this is the moment where crippled god has found his way into the deck of dragons.
Yeah. What I have a hard time with is like I'm not really sure where this lines up in the timeline of what we've read.
Well, this should be before Gardens of the Moon.
How far? Like way back or not too far? Like
I think it was, didn't we say in the prologue, that last section was like 6 years after the prologue of Gardens of the Moon or something like that?
maybe I don't remember.
So like a few years before Pale.
So okay, so it's not like we're going back to like Memories of Ice prologue, like that far back. But I did think it was cool that like Featherwitch is going back to like the beginning of like time itself. That was cool.
Yes.
And one of those that she named off definitely made me think of Adamander Rake. Oh, the sword chaos itself, that one.
Yep. Because he's draconian, right?
But I think it was talking about a knight. But
oh, gotcha.
But yeah,
oh well.
Yeah, no, you're still right.
But then, when she's saying, she continued on that they stood upon Dolmen, right? And broken rock, pitted and scarred by kin, its surface seized with life, so small it escapes their eyes. It kind of sounds like Earth, like planet Earth to me, right? Like we are the small life that escapes their eyes, humans, beasts.
Sure.
So I'm kind of like, is Dolmen dark or is Dolmen like burn?
I don't know.
And then this part where from the whirlpool, powerful creatures arise, Kachain Chamal, the Daragoth, right? Denrabi, like all of the things that we saw in Deadhouse Gates that were holding the Azath.
Yeah.
And then we get this talk about the Ice Hold Rises, attendants serving who journey through the realms to war against time, right? So thus freezing time, like what we saw with Gothos in the prologue.
Sure.
Death, right? I think that this is a little bit different than Hood, but maybe Hood is like Death's evolution or usurper of some kind, I know with the Eris, right, in House of Chains, they talk about, well, they don't, but they're being talked about, and they worshipped death, right? Like, I think that's what is happening here. And then, again, as you're talking about the night to the very sword of chaos itself, we have Animander Rake, like you were saying, but then we have Weevil, spawn of the dragons, and the lady. So I wonder if that's like Lady Envy, the sister, her sister, and then who Blood Drinker and the Path Shaper would be. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Gonna say my last thought is like I kind of get like an order of operations through this section, and if I'm understanding, we've got dark, and then the birth of light causing conflict, thus rise the birth of shadow. Shadow creates holds. The first being beast, as this arises, creatures and humans. Powerful creatures arise. So Errant returns again to plant the seeds that will become the Azath, trapping the power of creatures, but still remains humans who war with each other endlessly. And to balance that, the ice hold is made, giving humans death, an end to their infinite progression, right? And now that balance is shifted to order, right? So now there's like more order than chaos. So then the Eliant are born to balance that order, and now the empty throne, the throne from the very beginning, can either be used for chaos or order. And I kind of just see this as a little bit of a history lesson. And if you purely just look at what's being explained as a balance between chaos and order, it makes sense. And the smaller details and the members of each holds, I wonder if those are like elder gods.
I will agree. I definitely felt like it was a history lesson. I don't know how much I picked. I definitely didn't pick up as much as you, but I like history stuff. I think I wish I could have read this chapter closely one more time. I still don't think I would have picked things up on the level that you did, but it's like this is why it's really fun for me to do this with you because I love the stuff you pick up.
Yeah, I like detail. But it's vice versa. I like the shit that like I don't even think about that you pick up. So
yeah, it's just the unexpected joy out of this that we get.
for sure. I'm really interested at this. I really hope we get to delve deeper into the holds and all of that stuff. But yeah, that's all I had for that section. Yeah.
All right.
Some intense things.
For sure. Everyone was leaving the meeting, but Hanan Mosag touched Troll's shoulder and told him to stay, along with his brothers. Troll watched the other warriors leave and could see worry on more than one of their faces. Fear stood near Rulad, who seemed unable to stand still. A moment later, they were alone. Mosag spoke, telling Troll to look at him, and he apologized to Troll for using him to make a jest about using his spear on the Letheri. Mosag said he would have done the same. Troll said there was no reason. He was glad Mosag was able to use it to shift the thinking of the council. Mosag told Troll they would speak no more on the matter. Mosag turned to Rulad and told him that he needed him because he was the son of Tomad. He needed him to listen now and not speak. Rulad went pale. Mosag stepped between two of his Krishnan and said that he understood Benatas still wandered. He knew no anchor, and there was nothing wrong with that. They would need to tell him next time they saw him. He continued saying 3 moons past his soul traveled while he slept and was witness to a vision. He was on a plain of ice and snow, beyond the lands of the Arapae and north of the Hungry Lake. However, in the land that was always still, something had arisen. A violent birth, a presence that was demanding and stern, a spire of ice, or a spear. It towered high above the snow, blinding all with the sun's light it had captured. But there was something dark within its heart. Mosag's eyes had lost focus, and Troll knew he was once more back in that cold, forlorn place. He said it was a gift for the Edur. Then he was silent. After a moment, he grabbed Fear's shoulder and said that the 4 sons of Tomad Sengar would travel to this place and retrieve this gift. They may bring 2 others on the journey because he saw 6 sets of tracks in his vision. Fear said they would bring Theridas and Midik Boone. Mosag said these were good choices and put Fear in charge of the expedition. Fear would be the voice and will of Mosag. He would not be disobeyed. Fear said it would be thus. Mosag continued saying nobody in the party must touch the gift. It would need to be wrapped in hides and kept from coming in contact with their flesh. Once they have it from the spire, to return back to him. Fear said that's how it would be. Mosag said good. It was the belief of many, perhaps the 4 sons as well, that the unification of the tribes was his singular goal as leader of the Hirath. But really, it was only the beginning. Suddenly there was another presence among them. It was one of the Krishnan, standing in the threshold. Mosag only nodded and said the slaves had been busy this night. I like this section too, but I think your last section was still probably more interesting.
Sure.
Couple thoughts, and maybe it's just me, but I don't know how you felt. I didn't really feel like Mosag ever was really making a joke or anything at Troll's expense.
I didn't feel that way either, but
and I'm not sure
know.
what like kind of hints in the writing would maybe make somebody like think that, but yeah, I just definitely didn't pick up on that.
I didn't either.
All right, well, not alone on that. Rulad going pale, and when Mosag tells him like, "Shut up and listen to me," and I think of how it said that he just demands that you listen. Like he doesn't even have to yell at you, right? It's just he commands that respect somehow, even though he's just a pretty average looking dude, right? But everybody knows you don't mess with him.
Yeah, I mean, but I think the story of him going in with the Merdu tribe and just walking out unscathed is probably very intimidating.
Oh yeah, he's like, I imagine if he was in a prison, he's the guy you'd have to challenge to a fight, but he doesn't lose.
Yeah.
Or and maybe he will eventually, but we're not there yet. Last thoughts, this journey to go get this spear or ice thing, whatever it is. Guess I'm assuming that this is probably going to be kind of a major plot line for the book. Then I don't know how you feel.
I would say so. I mean, and even the little epigraph at the beginning, right, where like there's a soul trapped in the spear. I have a feeling though that like based on the way that this chapter is setting up Rulad, that he's going to touch the spear.
Okay.
Because he wants that. He doesn't seem like, I don't know. And then I think like the power is going to go to his head. And, again, I don't get good vibes from Rulad. I don't. Like, I feel like, I mean, even here, right? Like, Mosag has to say, hey, like, shut the fuck up and listen,
Yeah.
Like, doesn't seem like he is willing to follow rules easily, right?
I like the prediction. I think that's cool. And I could see that being right. So I'm curious on that. Even though we're 1 chapter in, we got a lot of this book left. I feel like this is just going to be a book where you've got a lot better grasp on this one than I do.
Because of my interest with the Edur and Light and Dark and stuff, or what?
I don't know. Maybe. And then that's not to say like I think there's aspects in other books I grasp better than you, and not, like there's this. We both have that same thing. There's things that we grasp better than one or the other. But I feel like this book is going to be heavy on what you grasp.
Yeah. I hope so. And I'll do my best to bring you along with me. But sometimes I struggle with articulating my ideas.
No, you're good. You can drag me along, but I'll be willing, so it's fine.
Derek is willing.
I am willing, yes. So
fair enough. All right.
Those are the only thoughts I had here on this section. Anything you got?
No, I feel like I've said what, as I read, I was wondering about. So
sure. All right. Well, you want to take your last one here?
Shadow wraiths gathered around his soul, for soul was all he was. They were hungry, these shadow spirits, yet something held them back. They scattered reluctantly as someone or something approached. He then felt a warm, protective presence at his side. Featherwitch. She was whole. Her gray eyes studied him. She said, "Son of debt." They told her that Eudinius had cut her free, even as the weevil tore into him. Weevil. She stared at him for a moment longer. She said that his love burns her eyes, but what was she going to do about this truth? He found that he could speak. He told her to do nothing, as he knew what was not meant to be, and he wouldn't surrender that burden. Featherwitch said that she understood. Eudinius asked if he was dying. Featherwitch said yes, and that the wife of Tomad Sengar came to their plight. She drew upon Karald Emerlon and drove the Weevil away, and was now working on healing them both. We are both lying on the blood-soaked earth. Uruth wonders at our reluctance to return. Eudinius questioned that, and Featherwitch explained that Uruth struggles to heal their wounds, as she was resisting Tomad's wife for the both of them. He asked her why. Featherwitch explained that she is troubled, as Uruth senses nothing, but to her, Featherwitch, it's like Karald Emerlon is stained somehow. Eudinius said that he didn't understand. Featherwitch explained further that Karald Emerlon has lost its purity. She doesn't know how or why, but among all the Edur, it has changed. He asked what they were to do. She sighed and told him to return and yield to her command. Thank her for her intervention, for the healing of our torn flesh. In answer to the many questions she must have, we will answer with very little. It was confusing. Battle with an unknown demon, and of this conversation, we will say nothing. And he agreed. She reached down and grabbed his hand, and he felt warmth once more. He could hear his heart thundering in his chest, and another heart distant, but quickly closing, beating in time. But it was not hers, and Eudinius knew terror.
A little tragic in this section, huh?
Yeah, but she's not dead.
I mean, in the sense that Eudinus loves Featherwitch, and he knows, like, he's not going to get her.
No.
It almost, like, I guess in the sense it kind of reminds me of Romeo and Juliet a little bit.
Yeah.
Not the same, obviously, but
I could see that, though. I could see that. The only thought that I had around this revival is Featherwitch's observation of the Edur and Uruth's sorcery towards her, saying that it was stained somehow. And to me, this reeks of the crippled god. And do you think Troll's story is how the Edur became conscripted against their will? You think by the end, I already talked about that. We'll be seeing Troll and then Ascent from the prologue of House of Chains. So
maybe we could, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I would imagine, I mean, it's so crazy to me that, like, this whole time I've had this perception that Midnight Tides would be a completely different story. And it is. But, like, it's also very tied to House of Chains.
I guess I hadn't really thought so much on that, but yeah, but I can see some of the comparisons too.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm reading a new book. I mean, even though I fucking am, I feel like I'm beginning to hear Troll's story. You know, like I imagine him and the three other Emas just sitting around at the first throne, listening to him tell his story.
It'll be neat to see, like, we got my last section here, the last section of the chapter, but I don't know what the heck to expect in chapter 2.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Ready to bring it home here?
Let's bring her home.
All right. Troll's mother stepped back and said they approach. Troll looked down at the slaves. Eudinus was of his own household, while the others belonged to man. They knew her as Featherwitch for her divination powers. Their shirts were stained with blood, even though the wounds themselves had been closed, while Eudinus also had gold blood spilled across his chest. Masag said he should outlaw these castings. Allowing the Letheri to perform sorcery among them was dangerous. Uruth spoke, saying there was, however, value. Masag asked what she meant. She said a clarion call which they would do well to heed. Mosag grimaced and said there was wyval blood on Udinus's shirt. Was he infected? Urth said it was possible. However, much of what passes for a soul within the Letheri is hidden from her arts. Mosag said that was a failing that plagues them all, and that he must be watched at all times. If he has wyval blood within him, the truth would reveal itself eventually. Mosag asked who he belonged to. Tomad said he was his. Mosag frowned, and Troll knew he was thinking of his dream and his decision to weave the Sengar family into it. There were few coincidences in the world. Mosag spoke, his voice a little harsher. This feather witch, she is man's. Tell me true, Uruth. Could you sense her power when you healed her? Troll's mother shook her head, saying it was unimpressive, or she trailed off. Mosag pressed her. She relented and said, or she hid it well despite her wounds, and if that's the case, then her powers are more than hers, Uruth's powers. Troll thought that was impossible. She's a Letheri slave and a virgin. Mosag grunted, thinking this wasn't likely. He said she was assailed by a wyval, a creature that proved beyond her ability to control. The child stumbles, poorly, instructed and ignorant of the vastness of all that she would play. She only now regains awareness. Her eyes slowly fluttered open. Mosag said she would be useless for a time, so leave her with Uruth and the other wives for now. He faced Tomad and said when Benatas returned, his voice went quiet and Tomad nodded. Troll looked at Fear, who looked as if he saw something no one else could see. Troll finished Mosag's thought in his head. When Benatas returns, the sons of Tomad will set forth into the ice wastes. And there was a sickly groan from Udinus. Mosag ignored it and left with his Krishnan, flanking him and his shadow a step behind. The shadow looked back, but Troll was unable to tell who it looked at. Udinus groaned. Troll looked at him, shivering, and when his eyes went back to the door, the shadow wraith was gone.
Spooky.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of a spooky ending here. Couple thoughts. This gold blood that spilled across Udinus's chest, like it's got to be this dragon or this wyval blood, right? Kind of interesting. Like I'm thinking about it right now, like in the prologue when who was the other dude in the prologue? Silchus. Yeah, another dude with a sweet name that I like. Yep. He was all cut up. He was a dragon, or a soul-taken dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So since he's soul-taken, and not a full dragon, does he not get gold blood? Why does this dragon have gold blood?
That's the part where I'm unsure of.
But you thought about that too?
Yeah. But I can't draw any conclusions from it outside of this, weird feeling that maybe they're tied to the Letheri and they're lust for gold and riches,
Oh, dude, that's a sweet idea.
So I don't know. I don't know anything more than that. That's the only thing that I'm reminded of.
Ruth, she said the Letheri using their magic, it does have value, and Mosag's like, well, what do you mean? And she said a clarion call, and that was not a phrase that I was familiar with either, and not sure if you were, but I looked it up, and essentially it's a strong request for something to happen. Whatever that could be, whatever that request is.
Well, I'm assuming that it has something to do with the Letheri performing sorcery.
Let's just see if we get more information, I guess.
Right, yeah, because Ruth is saying that there is value there, and Mosag was like, well, what do you mean? It would be a strong request for something to happen, which they should probably take heed of, not ignore it.
This phrase from Ruth, when they're asking if Udinus is infected, and she says, well, it's possible, but a lot of what passes for a soul within the Letheri is hidden from her arts. And I just thought that was kind of an ugly statement, right? Because they definitely see the Lethari as like less than themselves, which I guess isn't too surprising since they're slaves, but just the way that was worded was pretty strong. And I don't usually get like a lot of feelings for that type of thing, but like I definitely felt like, damn, like that's pretty harsh when I read that.
Well, do you think that it has something to do with maybe the Edur don't agree with the Lethari's quest for riches and gold? Like that seems to be their only passion, right? Like, so maybe they just see them as dead people, which again, as Jan and Tony were saying, is kind of a play on capitalism a bit, right?
I don't even know if it's that. I mean, I think, when you enslave somebody, it's we're stronger, we can enslave you. Because even like you look at earlier in the chapter, I don't know if either one of us summarized it, but there was a mention of the village, or really the city, right? Where the Edur are. I don't remember what it's called. But they said they had like 20,000 people live there, right? But they had 3 times that many slaves.
Hmm.
But they're not worried that they're outnumbered 3-1.
Yeah,
They don't see him as a threat, even though they're outnumbered, which to me is kind of weird. But I mean, I guess we don't really live in a world like that, so I don't know. To me, it's just that they just don't even care about him.
yeah, they definitely see them less than, which again, knowing, having my suspicions about who Mr. Erickson is, I feel like is a jab.
Could be. Last thought: if Udinus has Wyval blood in him, then the truth would reveal itself eventually. So, do you think this is like some sort of urban legend or something? Or do you think there's like some sort of truth to it? Like, is he going to start to turn into like a soul taken or something?
I
I'm not
don't
sure
know.
where it goes, but like they must have stories about this happening before. Otherwise, they wouldn't be bothered by it.
True, but how much of that is directly related to what you just said, right? Like,
Yeah, I have no
you
idea.
know, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's interesting to me, but I don't have any like conclusions or like really any elaborate thoughts.
Yeah, I don't either.
Kind of a Rafa moment, I guess you could say. Like maybe there'll be more explanation of that. I mean, there's a lot of that stuff that gets introduced in this chapter, while at the same time really setting the scene for kind of what's next, maybe. You know? I don't
Right.
yeah. Speaking of what's next, what do you think chapter 2 will bestow on us?
Don't have a fucking clue. Not
Yeah.
not the slightest idea.
That's what
I,
that's what I'm feeling too.
I wish I'm probably not going to read it tonight. I'm going to go to bed because I'm tired, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be excited to read it.
I might dabble. I don't know yet. I'm tired too. And I still need to eat and shower and stuff. So yeah.
You got stuff to do for sure.
Yeah.
But it'll be good to read on here. We've had a couple week hiatus of recording, and it was you had a big section. It was a decently long chapter, and I think this next chapter is 40, 50 pages, so it'd be decently sized as well. So
Yeah. And we'll already be into the hundreds, I think.
yeah,
So or near it.
yeah, I think it goes to like 112.
And there we go. I think it's only 800-page book, so we're already 1/8 through it.
Right. Well, man, anything else you want to talk about tonight?
No, not at all. This was a good episode.
Yeah,
And
it was. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh no, it's fine. I feel like I do that. I just keep talking, and you're like, so. No, I'm just excited to keep going. Like that's yeah.
Right. I don't think we've never not been excited to keep going, but obviously we're early in a book. So, yeah, it's definitely hard to make some predictions right now. Like, are we going to get introduced to some new characters? Or are we going to continue on with what we've got for right now? I don't know.
Right.
I wouldn't be too surprised if we got some new characters.
I wouldn't. Yeah. No. I guess we could call that a prediction.
It's really the only prediction I've got.
Yeah. I guess we'll see what happens.
I'm curious, like, how big a cast of characters we're gonna have in this book.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm excited for the unknown again. Really hoping we get more of this Edur stuff or the Teist things.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, it was good. But I can't talk. Good getting back with you here, chatting some Malazan, and yeah, we'll do it again soon.
Hell yeah, dude.
All right, man. Well, have a good night. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, you too.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
DMJ's Epic Quest. DMJ's Epic Quest. DMJ's DMJ's Epic Quest. CMJ's Epic Quest. CMJ's Epic Quest. CMJ's Epic Quest. CMJ's Epic Quest.